Hello, this is Sonora Moser, and this week we're looking at the artist Kerry James Marshall. So, for the art piece that I decided that I wanted to look at, I chose this one, which is called Sob Sob. And this piece is acrylic on fiberglass, and it is 108 inches by 72 inches. And one thing that is interesting about this is that Kerry James Marshall is an artist that learned from Charles White. So Charles White was his teacher, but their artwork is very different. And like one of the first things that you notice is that their different use of color, because in the White article that we read, an interview with Charles White, he said that oil has always been a challenge for me. It has always been a difficult medium for me. I'm most comfortable with black and white. And this isn't oil, this is acrylic, but the point still stands. Charles White's art is predominantly black and white, but Kerry James Marshall uses lots of these really, really bright, vivid colors that you can get with acrylics. So like you can see up here, he's got these like really bright red books, which I thought were super pretty, and then like this super vibrant teal, and as well as that, he has these very, very dark skin-toned characters. And all of his subjects that he paints are these like completely flat black characters. And that was another thing that I thought was really, really interesting. And in the interview that he talked about this, like his reason for painting them all black. He says, that kind of extreme is a rhetorical device that you go to when you want to emphasize or highlight a certain point. So using the completely black color. And he says, I started to develop figures. That was the way. Okay, wait, sorry, I have to start from the beginning. And one of the things that I had been thinking about when I started to develop the figure was the way in which folks and folklore of blackness always seem to carry a derogatory connotation. So you saw a lot of very negative, stereotypical representations of black people. And then he says, a part of what I was thinking to do with my image was to reclaim the images of blackness as an emblem of power instead of an image of derision. So he uses this very, very black skin tone as a symbol of black power, and instead of like to show that this figure is like a very strong figure. And it also, like stylistically, having this very dark color helps it pop out from the background. And I think there was another thing that he talked about, but I don't think I saved that quote. Anyways, in one of the interviews, it seemed to recall that he was talking about how to make the black character stand out more from a dark background or a light background. He like started by using like different like a warmer brown against a cooler background, or like a cooler brown against a warmer background, but then he ended up going with like just the flat black because that was the best thing to make it stand out. And then he talked about how then he could use that as to emphasize the black figure, which I thought was really, really cool. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about was, when I was reading about this art piece, it talks about how the quote that they have from Kerry James Marshall on this Smithsonian American Art Museum that I was reading about, it says that this piece hints at what artist Kerry James Marshall calls that place in between where you experience both a certain sadness and also a certain kind of anger about the thing that you've discovered. That's a direct quote from reading it. So he's talking about how, and then if you look down at this book down here, the book says Africa since 1413. And this figure, it's kind of hard to tell like what she's thinking. Like her expression is kind of like flat, or the word that they used in this is like ambiguous, I think, which I thought was like a really cool word to use for that. It fits it really well, because it could be like her saying sob sob, like she's so sad about the things that have happened and like the way that her people have been treated, but it could also be like this kind of anger about the same problems, and it's interesting to see that. And like all the books in the corner, like they also talked about how that could be, let me find the quote, the meaning. Here on the American Art Collaborative.org or whatever, it says, it is a painting about the accumulation and dissemination of knowledge and relates closely to Marshall's ongoing exploration of African American history. So she's got the history book and it's talking about history, but it's also like the books refer to like knowledge. They're the symbol of knowledge and knowing things. And then last of all, I wanted to talk about the artist Amy Sherald. I forgot her last name. And one of the art pieces that I really loved was this one right here, which the title of this is Freeing Herself Was One Thing, Taking Ownership of That Freed Self Was Another. And this one really like struck a chord with me because I was like, being yourself can be really, really difficult. Anyways, but another thing, so like you can see a lot of similarities between Kerry James Marshall's art and Amy Sherald's art. And one of the main things is their use of different skin tones, like Amy Sherald, she paints these African American figures with grayscale skin tones, and Kerry James Marshall paints his with like completely flat black. In like one of the interviews with Amy Sherald, she talked about how this hadn't been like, let me find the quote. Where is it? It's right up here. So she says it was like kind of by accident that she got these grayscale skin tones. Right here in the Arnett news article, it says, it was kind of by accident. I had started a painting and I was going to do glazes of brown over the gray, but then I decided not to because it looked beautiful the way it was. The commentary and the discourse that comes afterward, it wasn't in my head at the moment. But she also says, once you finish something and look back at what you did, you can see see things there that have meaning or are critiquing something. So she's also using these as like a symbol, and that's like one similarity between their two art pieces. And anyways, I really love Amy Sherald's art. I feel like I love her use of color. She's got these very, very bright colors, and a lot of them are like, they're just like kind of almost yummy looking. They look tasty. I want to take a bite out of the painting. But yeah, they're both such amazing artists, and yeah, that's all I have to say.